this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious, mysterious.
Hey guys, Coach Dan here. Cut week 1, workout 3 today. This is a back or a pull workout, which we're always looking for. So we've gone push, lower, pull today, and then we repeat that for the back end of the week. So on the agenda for today, we have starting off with some lat work. We're going machine pullover. So pullover, idea behind doing this up front is to kind of get a little bit of pre-fatigue or isolation in the lats before we go into our compound movement. So we start off with the pullover to kind of get the lats already fired up. So when I head over to the rows, then I can already feel those in the lats a little bit more. So I go row, and I've recently changed to that row's the same. That's a single arm row, which I like, which we can really line up, feel the lats, potentially the higher part of the lats or the thoracic lats. And then we've recently changed to a neutral grip pull-up for the vertical portion or the iliac part of the lats. So trying to kind of target those both. Then we got a chest supported machine row that I've been rolling for a little while now, still going well. A seated cable row where we lean back to kind of focus in towards the upper part of the traps. Then we go our funky dunky lying bicep, elbow supported curl, and then we have a seated cable Y raise to finish. So a couple small changes that were made a little while back, and they will remain the same. And then it's just on this cut or fat loss phase, it's a matter of kind of keep pushing, keep trying to get better, keep trying to retain the muscle, or even potentially build a little bit of muscle while I lose fat, not just kind of submit to the fact that, I'm losing weight, I'll lose strength and muscle and stuff like that. We keep trying to work at keeping that muscle, keeping that strength, and potentially do that this whole period. It's not a severe weight loss plan that I've got. It's, what is that, 5 to 10% of body weight, so nothing major, nothing too extreme, so we should be good to go. Feeling good this week so far, so we keep on rolling. All right, let's head to the machine pullover, and then we'll get that rocking and we'll smash this one out. Let's go. Okay, machine pullover to begin. So the machine pullover, probably the closest way or closest we can get to isolating the lats. So if we think about the lats are sort of inserting in the front of your arm here, come down, wrap along your ribs or around your ribs, heading towards your spine, and then also down towards your pelvis. So their job is to kind of pull your arm down like this and then pull it in and do a few things like that. So if we think about anytime we do our rows, we for sure use our lats, but also our bicep is involved to kind of flex your elbow. So from that perspective, if we get into this kind of position, which you'll see with the pullover, we don't pull with our arm or curl with our arm like we do with the row. We simply drag down into that shoulder extension. Probably some other muscles that will get involved here, something like your rear delt, that probably can play a role here to kind of pull your arm back into that position. The long head of your tricep, because that attaches to your scapula as well, and then come down and attaches to your arm, can kind of help pull in that direction. But yeah, we're trying to get as close to isolation here for a little bit of pre-fatigue, so when we head over to our other movements, we're ready to go. So with this pullover, not all gyms have pullovers in my experience. With this one, this is quite a good one. I quite like this. If you do not have a pullover machine, something like a lat prayer where you're up at a cable machine, you set a bar or a rope and you're dragging in, gets us a close comparison, right? So for this particular one, I'll push the foot away. Now there are two grip options here. One's to go overhand. I much prefer underhand. I found that limits my tricep, or the sensation I feel in my tricep. And then it is driving down as if we're driving into the pocket. trying to think about those lats as we do. So this way, big stretch on the way up, as large as your flexibility to allow. Drive down, control, stretch, drive down. So that's the pullover. Bang out a couple sets here, get the lats toasted, not toasted, get the lats fired up so we can really fill them with our rows. We've got the seat belt for stability, and it makes us feel like we're back at school. All right, machine pullover done. Now, with the lats a little bit toasty, now I can come and do the compound row or the single arm plate loaded row and really feel those lats because they've already done a little bit of work. So trying to isolate in there on the pullover, then we can feel them really well in here. I do this single arm at a time, which allows me to really line up and get into a good position that can make me really feel the lats. So when we think about the lats, if you look at them anatomically, sort of part of it will come in towards the spine or the thoracic spine area, and then they start to head down. So they kind of tuck underneath your arm here, head in towards your spine, and some of them go down. Now, if we think about that from a movement perspective, that would mean that we potentially should do movements that kind of focus on taking that arm and going towards the spine and then down. So we just categorize those into horizontal and vertical pulling movements, and that, for me, that's enough. You could do a lot in between that, but for me, that's enough. So this is our horizontal version. This one feels really good. I've got stronger every time. Single arm, so I can really sit to the side and line up. This foot is quite important to kind of brace us from being yanked in. We'll strap in with the wrist wraps so we don't lose grip or have any grip issues. Then we're here, leaning over to the side, driving the arm nice and close to the body. So I've progressively been getting stronger in this one, so that's a good sign, so I'll continue to do so. And yeah, we'll do a horizontal movement now, we'll do a vertical movement after this, and then we're kind of ticking those boxes both. Let's go. Okay, next up for our vertical pulling movement that we're targeting our lats with, we're going to go neutral grip pull-up, which we've recently added back in, and there's nothing wrong with a good neutral grip pull-up. So if we're thinking pull-ups for lats, same idea with rows, we're thinking arm close to the body is probably best. As you take your arm away from the body, as you start to do the pulling movement, the whole shoulder has to move back to kind of complete the movement. So you'll see when we do stuff for the upper back, it's usually a grip that's away from the body a bit, or at least leads the arms to go away from the body, or even if you want to do a pull-up or a pull-down for more upper back, you kind of take that grip where your arms kind of go away from the body. But if we're thinking lats and we want to make it as lat dominant as possible, we're thinking arms close to the body in any of these kind of formats. So we're driving down using that kind of lower lat, right? So for me, I've come to like this neutral grip just meaning palms facing towards one another. For me, this is about shoulder width. You could go shoulder width or anywhere inside with the neutral grip, reverse grip, overhand. But again, for lats, we are probably best to kind of go with something that's pretty narrow to the body. So for this, I've got a bench here so I can reach up. This is one of the cable crossover machines. Again, I've got my wrist straps on to make sure grip is a non-issue. For me, I'll gently step off to avoid any swinging. Here, pull, control, pull. And as I'm doing that pulling movement, again, I'm thinking about driving the arm down as if it's kind of going into the back of my hip, meaning that I'll be using my lat as much as possible and hopefully biasing it towards that lower lat. All right, these feel good. Nothing wrong with a good pull-up. You know what I've never done? I've never done 20 body weight pull-ups ever in my life, I think. Maybe I've done a bit above 15, but never 20. Maybe that could be a goal of mine. We shall see. All right, let's roll. So now that we are moving from lat dominant stuff, we've done a single arm, we've done the pullover first for a little bit of pre-fatigue. We've done single arm to kind of potentially work some of the more upper part of the lats. And then we've done the pull-up to work the lower lats. Now we move on to upper. And just as I mentioned on that pull-up, when we do pull-ups and lat dominant stuff, we usually want to keep the arms close to the body. As we get your arms further and further away from the body, it doesn't mean lats don't work. It just allows some other things to start to contribute to the movement, like rear delts, upper back, and things like that. Now we are trying to make this about the upper back. So we'll actively choose a hand positioning and a movement that will let the arms come away from the body. So it'll be about letting the shoulders kind of protract or come forward and then come back, protract. And that's what this row movement. So this is called, I think they call this a low friction row, an old Nautilus machine. There's two handle options. I line up best with the lower one. So I'll reach over. Oh, one other thing I've got is I've got the chest pad because it's just a limited range of motion on here for me and my short arms. So it'll just allow me to go a little bit extra further. I'll reach over, grab the handle, bring it back, let the shoulders roll forward, drive the shoulders back, forward. So essentially now I'm actively rolling the shoulders forward, allowing that whole upper back to stretch out nicely, then driving them back and squeezing the shoulder blades back and together. Again, the goal now here is to work the upper back mainly, but again, your lats are gonna work, your rear delts are gonna work, your biceps are gonna work. We've got a whole bunch that goes into this, but we're trying to bias it as much as we can towards the upper back. So 2 upper back movements coming here after we finish 3 different lat movements, and then we move on to some isolation bicep and rear delt stuff. Let's go. Okay, last upper back movement, or back movement in general actually. We're going to go, I don't know what you call it, a lean back. Well, I do know what I call it when I wrote it down with my program. Lean back, overhand, seated row. So if we think about the row that we just did, and you see it kind of comes horizontally and it dips down, the part of my back that's potentially working a little bit more, part of my upper back that's working a little bit more might be through the mid portion of it. And on a later exercise, I do something for the lower portion of it. So this is kind of going to be targeted towards the upper portion. And how I'm going to do it on the seated rows, I'm going to lean back. So I'm going to lean back so it kind of slightly angles it up, and it's almost that kind of shrugging sensation, but not a completely shrug like this, just a slight lean back, allowing the upper traps to do a little bit more work. So I'll get seated, lean back, find that sweet spot, let the shoulders roll forward, squeeze them back. So this is similar to when I do a low row on my other back day. It's kind of coming up, but not a complete shrugging movement. So you'd say it's targeted more towards the upper traps, but again, it's not like a standard shrug just up and down like this. So I found this to be very effective. So for now, it stays in the routine. Yeah, feeling good. Let's keep rolling. Last back exercise. Alright, next up I've got my unique bicep exercise. So when it comes to a standard dumbbell curl or even an incline curl on the bench, it suffers from an issue which is gravity. So gravity essentially always working directly down. The dumbbell, when you're doing curls, isn't always going directly up. So for example, in this kind of position here, it's kind of going that way before it starts to go up. So in that scenario, we don't have a lot of tension or as much tension at the beginning as we do through the mid portion of that. Even a incline curl might be a little bit better, but same idea. The incline curl is good because you get a nice stretched bicep, the bicep being a muscle that passes the elbow and a shoulder. A straight arm is a stretched bicep, an arm behind the body is potentially a more stretched bicep, so the incline curl, fantastic. But again, it's not, the majority of that tension is not there at the beginning because you're not going straight up. Now, here, this is why I've implemented this lying elbow supported dumbbell curl. So we're basically going to shuffle our ass off the bench, put our elbows on the bench and curl. So this gets us the best of both worlds. It gets us a really nice stretched bicep, and while it's in that stretch position, it makes it really difficult. So a demo of it, we'll strap in here. Potentially one of the main issues here is actually getting into position. Getting into position is a bit of a fuck around where we have to kind of shuffle off, get set, and then we're ready to go. But once we're here, we're good to go. So we let the arm sink down, get a nice stretch to the bicep, come up in that position there. So you can see that my arm is coming behind the level of my body, so big stretch in the bicep, and we're going up against gravity much sooner. So this kind of kills, that's not the right expression there. This is kind of fixes both those problems. It's going up against gravity sooner, and we're still getting that nice stretched bicep. So this is a really, really effective exercise I found. I like that my elbows are on the bench because that stabilizes me. I was doing this with my arms just beside the bench initially, but I like the stable version. All right, we are focusing on biceps at the moment in my overall training plan. So this is 4 or 5 sets. I'll have to check my log real quick. All right, let's do it. Oh, fuck, that's good. Okay, finishing off with, I think I'm calling this seated cable Y raise. So we're kind of coming in this Y shape. Now, the purpose of this is to kind of both in one, two in one. Rear delts, helping with this movement. Also, the lower parts of the trap. So if you just stand there and you kind of make this Y shape, as you continue to do the movement, you'll feel your shoulder blades kind of tip down and in, and that's kind of working the lower traps. Now, that is something that I kind of miss, or up until recently have missed, and I do a rear delt exercise usually here, so I'm going with this instead to get rear delts because I don't really like doing those exercises, and the lower traps all in one. So bit of a setup. I've got to reach over, grab one cable, reach over, grab the other cable. I go palms up for this one, and we're kind of making that Y shape. Now, I am too far away, so I'm coming to the end of the machine. Still too far away. So letting the shoulders come forward, squeezing them back, shoulders forward, squeeze back. Unique one. I remember doing this back in the day when I was doing Olympic weightlifting and powerlifting and stuff like that, and they categorized it for shoulder health, but I've found that I kind of feel that lower part of the trap, I feel the scapulars tip down, and it feels like a missing part in my training. So I'm going to keep it around for the time being, plus I get the rear delts all in one here. All right, 2 sets to go, then we get out of here. That'll do, pig. That'll do. Good workout there, guys. Summing that up, happy days. Just keep rolling with that. I have nothing to say about that other than it was good. Everything felt pretty good. No real dramas across the board. How good's a good pull-up? Nothing wrong with that. Is that right in there like that? Oh, yeah. So this workout caps off the first half of the week of workouts. Again, my training program is kind of a push-pull lower body split, but I've modified the order of that to go push, lower body, pull to avoid any kind of back fatigue when going into a lower body day. So if this back day is today and my back is fatigued and I say I had to go lower body tomorrow, there might be some potential to have some fatigue. And if I want to do stiff-legged deadlifts or anything like that, I just don't want my back to be too fatigued. So that's kind of my rationale and my justification there, but we just keep marching on. I'm really happy with that. I feel good after that. You know, when you come in and you feel a bit grizzly and then you leave and you feel, you know, happy and satisfied and stuff like that. That's probably one of the major elements of training that I didn't really realize until recent years, maybe the last 2 or 3 years, is that, you know, when I train emotionally, I'm just so much better. You know, like if I don't, I'm just a bit angry, a bit moody and all that kind of stuff, and then I get to do it and it kind of gets it out. So people always talk about it for mental health and all that kind of stuff, and you know, maybe that's a bit cliche, but it is true. It just kind of puts me in a better state, and I don't really have a comparable activity that does the same thing, to be honest. It's my favorite activity. So all right, that'll do. Tomorrow we go back to push. Got some good stuff coming there. How good's a good push workout? Love it. So as always, guys, if you're liking the content, please hit the little subscribe up here. It doesn't cost you a thing. Not very difficult. You just click the button and hit subscribe. Other video up here if you want to check out more of the content or you want to see how I'm training some of my other muscle groups. And as always, it's about progress over perfection. Coach Dan, signing off.